So, back from the VGC guide, and this time we're looking at Mandibuzz. This is a Pokemon that almost won the World Championships, and it's still fine. But the problem with Mandibuzz now is that, well, back when Mandibuzz was good, and almost won the World Championships, there wasn't dynamic speed control with Tailwind. So you click Tailwind, and then you're faster on the next turn. Whereas now, you're faster immediately, you tend to go for the Pokemon that's going to give you that Tailwind much faster than Mandibuzz does. Don't get me wrong, Mandibuzz is super bulky, and it'll be able to shrug off the hits and most likely get that Tailwind, but you tend to just want that immediate Tailwind so your Pokemon can make use of it. But if you can afford to just take those hits, Mandibuzz is going to be perfectly fine. Has to contend with Flutter Manes being everywhere, but if Flutter Manes weren't everywhere, this would be a pretty reasonable Pokemon, I would say. Because that fairy typing holding it back. Or fairy weakness, I should say, holding it back. You can Terror into Poison, that'd be fine. And they do some consistent damage with Foul Plays. Snarl is a very good move, because the special attackers are picking up in the format at the moment. Tailwind, obviously I've already mentioned that, we know what that does. Roost, keep yourself safe, because you're so bulky. This is perfectly fine. Flutter Mane kind of kills this, though. Which is a bit unfortunate, because it would be used a lot more if it weren't for Flutter Mane. I reckon that if this was available in Regulation A, it would have been used a lot. But here's other moves that you can use on Mandibuzz. This is not a recommended moveset. These are just other ones that you can put onto here. I think the Tailwind is pretty mandatory. Almost certainly Foul Play as well, but you could justify Knockoff as just, well, this is a bit of utility to get rid of some items. Fake Tears allows you to actually do some pretty good damage with your partner Pokemon. And I say that Mandibuzz, it isn't very fast. You can very much invest into its speed and outspeed your special attackers. Even with this much speed investment, you'll outspeed something like a Raging Bolt. So if you've gone for Tailwind with that, you'd be able to Fake Tears as well. But Mandibuzz generally is a bit too slow to make use of Fake Tears. It just can in the right circumstances. Feather Dance can go alongside Snarl so that you are just getting rid of all their damage that they can do, and then Mandibuzz should be able to bulk things out and then get Roosts off and be able to win eventually. But the key word is eventually there. Taunt is always good to be able to shut down all the shenanigans that can happen. And Roselli Berry is worth considering, like I mentioned, Flutter Mane is so prevalent that it is a very reasonable item to consider. We don't see too many of the reducing super effective hit berries too often, but this would be very reasonable on Mandibuzz because the only real thing that is threatening Mandibuzz faster than it is going to be Flutter Mane. There's a few others, but that's the main one. If you get rid of that weakness, you can set Tailwind pretty comfortably. This is also a moveset that could be somewhat reasonable. Toxic isn't so prevalent in the format anymore, but going for an Iron Defense, suddenly the physical attackers can't take care of you anymore. Snarl helps with the special attackers, and then you just Roost and Toxic Stall. Which, you know, Stall isn't that great in VGC, but there's going to be some matchups that this Mandibuzz would just immediately win if you take care of the counters. If that counter is just Flutter Mane, oh, suddenly Mandibuzz has won. So I think this would be pretty reasonable as well, but this would be like a perfect sixth mon on a team kind of thing. I wouldn't recommend building around Mandibuzz, but it might solve an issue for your team. Who knows? Probably not, though.